Hey guys, my name is Rachel Higgins, and this is my sugar project. So, we all know, I hope we all know, sugar is the most tastiest thing on this earth. I'm not gonna lie. Sugar is the best thing that anybody could eat. Just makes everything taste so good, and but the impacts of on the human health and what it does to us is not the best thing ever. Sugar is found in anything and everything, even products that you would have never thought had sugar in it. Probably 10 out of 10 has sugar in it. Everything is added with sugar. So, there in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about what is sugar, the history of sugar, and what different health issue it leads to, and yeah. So, sugar is found naturally in most plants, especially in sugar cane and sugar beets. Sugar is made in the leaves of the sugar cane plant through a natural process called photosynthesis. So sucrose is a big carbohydrate made up with two smaller carbohydrates called fructose and glucose. So glucose is the main type of sugar in the blood and is the major source of energy for the body's cells. Fructose is the fruit sugar, is a simple sugar found in plants, and it is often bonded to glucose to form sucrose, which is sugar. So let's talk about some of the history of sugar. Sugar is native to and discovered in New Guinea. Please don't be upset if I said that wrong. I'm so sorry. People chewed on the reeds from the sugar cane to enjoy the sweetness back in 8000 BC. 2,000 years after that, sugar cane makes its way to the Philippines and India. Then, India is the first known place that sugar was refined. Later on, Greeks and Romans learned about sugar during the visits to India. Small amounts after those visits were brought back to the Mediterranean. A university I ran had a meeting with the world scholars gathered to create the first teaching hospital, and they was writing about Indian medicine, which was sugar. Yeah. They also developed better methods for processing sugar cane into crystallized sugar. Later on, America was brought sugar by 1619. But by then, that was the New World. America was considered the New World, and the colonists did not know what to do to how to grow sugarcane. It was actually really hard for them because they just didn't know how to do it, and they just didn't have the best environment to do it for. By 1750, they actually moved the sugar production to Louisiana because Louisiana is known for the swampy climates, and swampy climates is known for better production of sugarcane. In 1887, American sugar industry came up with the American Sugar Trust, wanting to increase prices and profits for all the sugar companies. The same company created the Domino Sugar brand to have all sugar that was made under one name. By 1907, this company controlled 90% of all American sugar productions. So, if you don't know by now, after learning about sugar, you know sugar is found in everything. So, we obviously know that added sugar makes food sweeter, but sugar actually helps with color of food, keeps foods fresher, and gives food texture. So, sugar is very good at absorbing water, which helps keeps this is the process of that keeps food fresher for a longer amount of time. The more sugar something has, the longer the food stays fresh. Sugar helps the color of foods like jams, jellies, and frozen fruits, protecting the fruit from air or gaining extra water. Sugar also does good to balance the acidity of foods containing vinegar and tomatoes. So, after learning about what sugar is and how good it tastes and why it's in everything, let's talk about what the real reason here is. Sugar is bad for human health. There's so many different health issues that sugar causes. Sugar is one of the top harmless things for the human body. Sugar can cause high blood pressure, heart issues, liver damage, obesity, and so much more. So weight gain is actually one of the top issues for someone who intakes too much sugar. Rates of obesity are rising every day. Added sugar. High sugar diets have been linked to high risk of heart disease, the top cause of death worldwide. High sugar diets can lead to obesity, high blood sugar, high blood pressure levels. This meaning all leading to heart disease. A study in over 30,000 people found that has consumed 17 to 21% of calories from added sugar has a 38% greater risk of dying from heart disease. Also, sugar can lead to having acne. If your insulin levels and blood sugar is higher, the production of oil and inflammation caused by the skin gets worse. A study in 2,300 teens demonstrated that those who frequently consumed added sugar had a 30% greater risk of developing acne. The number of people getting diabetes has doubled the past 30 years. And let's actually get into what sugar does to the body to cause diabetes. So basically, diabetes happens when the body is no longer able to regulate blood sugar levels. Consuming too much sugar can cause weight gain and leads obesity. Obesity leads the risk for type 2 diabetes. 90 to 90% of people with diabetes have type 2. Type 1 is actually really rare. It happens when the immune system attacks the pancreas and destroys its ability to produce insulin. Type 2 happens when the pancreas stops making enough insulin. Type 1 actually just comes from genetics. Type 2 actually comes from obesity. Obesity comes from sugar. It's a chain, if you look at it. According to the American Diabetes Association, 1.6 million Americans have type 1 diabetes, including 187,000 children and teens. Type 1 diabetes makes up between 5 and 10% of total diabetes caused in the United States, which type 2 diabetes covers the other 90 to 95%. Yeah. So the connection between sugar intake and 2 diabetes is ongoing. Most doctors argue that sugar alone does not trigger diabetes, but we've seen that if you take a lot of sugar, causes you to weight gain, causes obesity, and obesity leads to risk for type 2 diabetes. Sugar that leads to diabetes involves a sugar called fructose. Fructose is actually one of the worst sugars ever. The worst part of sugars, The liver absorbs fructose, not regulating the intake, leading to a buildup of liver fats and affects insulin. Insulin is how cells use glucose and remove it from the bloodstreams. When insulin decreases, blood sugar can become high and lead to type 2 diabetes. So, after watching, we were supposed to watch Fed Up. It was a really good documentary. It talked about the intake of junk food that children ate every day. It talks about how Children are high risk of obesity, and no one's really doing anything about it. The documentary talks about how type 2 diabetes was not common for children at all, and it was common only in adults. But according to Fed Up, in 1980 there were 0 childhood cases of this condition. 2010, there was 57,636 cases in children were confirmed. Doctors were just, they didn't know what to think because they've never treated children with type 2 diabetes, so they were scared, honestly. It talked about how foods, even good foods, all contain sugar. Over 600,000 foods in the grocery store, and 80% of all those foods have sugar in it. It just blowed my mind how much, foods just think that you would never think of actually has that much sugar. Oh, and another thing I thought was very interesting, the documentary shows scans of 2 brains. Someone who had sugar intake and another who had cocaine. The scans, I'm sure like all you guys have watched it, but the scans were just so so similar. I just like I don't know why they don't consider sugar a drug. I mean, some of them do, but some of them not everybody does. But sugar is, I would think, considered a drug because once you have one, you want more. So, but I really like this film, learning about what goes on and everything. Watching the kids talk about what they have to go through, I related to them very much. When I was growing up, I was always considered overweight. I did actually eat a lot of sugar every day. I couldn't even tell you how much I did. But once I grew up, I started pushing away sugar and just wanted to not do that for my health, and I just wanted a better way. But I really liked this documentary, and it really showed you, it's a really eye opener of what really goes on and just the horrible impacts of what sugar can do to somebody. My experience, we were supposed to do a food journal, and my experience, for not having sugar for a week, I decided to take a soda from my diet for a week. I am the world's worst of having a diet. I used to have a soda with every meal that I had a day, and I just, like, I've done it before, but I wanted to take a soda away from my diet and just to, like, experience, you know, um, not having just, it definitely makes me feel tired all the time, even though I'd have 8 hours of sleep, and it causes me to have headache. But I started on a Friday. The first 3 days, I didn't feel the best in the world. I was just really tired and I had headaches and I just wanted soda. But I was like, no, Rachel, you can't. You need water and just continue on. And then at the end of the week, I felt fine. I had a few headaches here and there, but I just felt fine. I definitely felt better about myself because I actually did better. So, but yeah, it was a really good experience for me, even though I did have headaches and experience tiredness. It was really good to actually see that I don't need sugar to go on with my life. I just need to do better. But it did feel good taking soda away. And that is it for it. Thank you guys.